One of the most common struggles I hear from people who are looking to grow and monetize their podcast, maybe use their podcast to grow their business, is that they don't know what to do to make money. They don't know how to differentiate themselves. We heard it last week on the postmortem with Trudy, right? Trudy had a podcast where she talked to people about starting their business, but that was outside of her area of expertise. So in today's short episode, I'm going to tell you the ways that you can build authority and therefore build your business with your podcast. Having a profitable podcast is like having any other profitable business. You need to make money, sure, but you also need to grow. You need to spend your time wisely. And you need predictability. A couple of sponsors won't make you a profitable podcaster, but having systems to stay consistent, create steady growth, and generate predictable income will. That's what you'll get with this show. Hi, I'm your host, Joe Casabona, and my podcasts have been profitable from day one. I'll share everything I know with you here on The Profitable Podcaster. Hey everybody, welcome. This topic is actually part of a bigger plan, a bigger shift for me with this podcast. You see, while I've been telling people you need to niche down, you need to solve specific problems, you need to talk to specific people, I have been making that mistake with this show. I thought I had a good mission statement, but it was too broad because I was talking to all podcasters. And yes, some of these episodes are great and they're doing really well, but I want to help a specific group of people. And those people are coaches, course creators, and authors, people who need to build authority with their podcast. So my question for you today is, are you using your podcast to build authority? If you have an interview podcast, you probably aren't, because most interviews focus on the guest and the guest's expertise and what the guest can bring to the table. And that could be very valuable for your listeners. I have a very popular interview show called How I Built It. And I interview guests on how they have built a successful creator business or certain aspects of business that help creators. And again, that does very well. But I've been interviewing people for a long time now. And something that I can do is weave in my own expertise into the conversation. And so our interviews are different perspectives. Whereas a lot of interview shows are, tell me who you are and what you do, tell me why I should do this, tell me why you're the expert in this, without focusing on the host's expertise. And that's no fault of your own, really. Interviewing is hard. The best interviewers are very nuanced. And they know the right questions to ask. And Andrew Warner's book, Stop Asking Questions, really gives a lot of great insight into that. I'm a better interviewer because I read his book. But that's beyond the point. The point is, if you want to use your podcast to build your authority, I recommend this. And I will say, don't burn your whole podcast to the ground. If you enjoy doing your podcast, if it's working for you, if you are doing good interviews and it's growing and you're building your mailing list, don't burn it down. Interviews are great, or they can be great. Instead, number one, start working in short 20-minute or less episodes into your schedule. This is the mini podcast, right? I strongly recommend this. I do it on How I Built It. This show, the Profitable Podcaster, is only a mini podcast. Well, not only, right? There are interviews, but they don't go an hour long like some of my How I Built It interviews. And actually, over on How I Built It, I've started doing Friday. I'm calling them bits, keeping with the whole building motif. where, like drill bits, where it's like 6 minutes or less. And I tell you about a tool or something that's of interest to me that's helped me as a creator. So start working in short 20-minute or less episodes into your schedule, maybe every 4 weeks or every 5 weeks. Pick topics that allow you to show your expertise and solve a problem. So again, maybe you've had guests on your show talking about how to build a mailing list or how to make the perfect opt-in. Maybe you're a designer. So maybe you can talk about, hey, Jane Smith came on the show a couple weeks ago talking about the types of opt-ins you should make. Here are a few tools to help you. Here are a few things to keep in mind to help you. Maybe you're a business coach and someone came on the show and they talked about all of their success. Maybe you can tell the flip side where this is where most people fail. So pick topics that allow you to showcase your expertise and solve a problem for your listeners. And number 3, have a super clear call to action to join your mailing list or schedule a free call. You want people to listen to your podcast, know that you are the person to help them, and take action immediately. Transparently, that's my goal with this show. I want you to listen to this podcast, maybe see a clip on YouTube, and say, Joe is the guy to help me with my podcast. So have that super clear call to action. You'll know that mine is at the beginning of the show. It changes from time to time, but usually it's join my mailing list, which you can join over at profitablepodcaster.fm/tips. So, or I think I own the domain getpodcast.tips. I certainly will by the time this episode comes out. So have that super clear call to action to join your mailing list or schedule a free call. Because ultimately, if you're using your podcast to build your authority, you want to use it to generate leads. So if you're a coach or a course creator or an author, these episodes will be an incredible way to get your listeners to know, like, and trust you. Because in this creator economy where there are lots of people shilling terrible advice for the views and the retweets and the likes, a podcast is a place where listeners can deepen their relationship with you. And you can then show them, hey, I'm not just the guy making listicles on Twitter. I'm the guy or the gal who can offer you real advice that will grow your podcast. And here's how I know it's working for me. Right before I started recording this, I had a coaching call with someone who found me and my podcast via a community where I've been helping people. And we hopped on a call and we talked for an hour about how she can get sponsors. She has a brand deal coming up, a call coming up. And she asked me for help. And we spent time. We went deep on her specific problem. And so I know that that's working for me. And I know it's working for my listeners too. And it could work for you too. So again, those tips are: start working in short 20-minute or less episodes into your show. If you haven't launched, try launching a mini podcast, right? Where it's the reverse, where it's 3 or 4 episodes of a 20-minute or less show and 1 interview. But if you already have the interview show, if you already have a bunch in the tank, spread those out a little bit every 4 or 5 episodes. Make it your insight and your expertise. Pick topics that allow you to showcase your expertise and solve a problem, and have a super clear call to action to join your mailing list or schedule a free call. That's how you can get your podcast working for you. Thanks so much for listening to The Profitable Podcaster. You can find a transcript and relevant links over at profitablepodcaster.fm/312. I, of course, would love if you joined my mailing list of the same name, because I will show you through email how to become a more efficient podcaster, save time, and build authority. That's how you become a profitable podcaster. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Joe Casabona, and until next time, I can't wait to see what you make.